High school sports, we've got it covered. Overtime starts now.
Hello and welcome to Overtime, the one show in the state line devoted to nothing but high school basketball. I'm Regan Holgate.
And I'm Scott Leber. We are ready to dish out some more great hoops action. We have a full slate of Nick 10 boys games. Also get a look at the Nick 10 girls frontrunner, Hononegah.
I'll bring you my interview with Rockford Christian boys coach Isaiah Johnson. His Royal Lions have put together quite the season so far.
And in our Spotlight segment, we'll take a look at the shot clock in high school basketball. Is it coming full force in Illinois? And we'll see one local tournament where the shot clock was in use recently. We're going to tip off the action tonight with a big Northern Conference boys game. The Lutheran Crusaders taking on the Dixon Dukes.
Both teams went in 2-0 in conference play. They've both been tested by very strong non-conference schedules this season. Walt Hill Jr. made his return tonight. That was big for the Crusaders. But Dixon came out of the gates firing. Darius Harrington pulls up, and it's good for a Dukes 3. Then comes the same from Wyatt Wetzel. And why not add another? This one is from Austin Hicks. Dukes were lethal from deep early on, but leave it up to Walt Hill to have an answer. Nice move there to grab a bucket. Harrington was big tonight for the Dukes, folks. Don't mess with the big man. He was tearing it up in the paint. There's a nice one there. And Jason Zinke grabs a triple here for Dixon. The Dukes trailed by 2 at the half. But the Crusaders came to play in the second half. Vontez Dent pulls up, and he gets that one to drop. Hill with the pressure here gets the steal, and he'll make a move and an easy bucket. Darius Harrington can do it all, folks. Gets the jumper to fall there, but Lutheran leads as time winds down. Nice feed here to Marquise Haynes. He's good from the top of the key for a Lutheran 3. And it'll be Haynes again who tallies another triple. Lutheran leads as time winds down. Walt Hill making this defense miss yet again, and he gets the one-handed lay-in. It was wire to wire the whole way, but Lutheran will grab the win 61-58.
It means a lot. We've been undefeated in the conference for a while, so we know everybody wants to. We have a target on our back. Everybody wants to, take us down. But this game was a tough one. They battled like all the way to the end, and it was a good match.
I mean, it's my first game back, so I'm just trying to get back to who I am. I mean, this was a good game.
At Winnebago, the Pee Wee Pom Poms showed up for the game. Well done, girls. Were you a Pee Wee Pom Pom, Reagan?
No, I was not, Scott.
I wasn't either. Hey. Bago hosted Stillman Valley in a big Northern game. Great job, young ladies. Great job. Let's get to the hoops highlights here. Winnebago's Will Speltz showed out on a strong drive. This was early on. Pretty clean there. Stillman's advantage was inside with Alex Ron. The 6'7 senior gets that hoop. Jaden Horton will use an effective ball fake, and he's off to the basket. To the other end where Caleb Johnson takes the handoff. He's going to drive, and yep, he scores. Stillman again will attack the inside with Ron. And again, it's 2 more for the big fella. Stillman this next time will go inside out. It's Johnson from the corner who strokes the three-pointer. We'll go back inside this trip to Ron one more time. Boy, he was in command down there. Stillman Valley narrowly beat Winnebago 47-43. Also in the Big Northern Conference, Byron beat Oregon 67-58, and Rock Falls beat North Boone 73-55. And Rockford Christian defeated Genoa Kingston 83-48. The big story in that game, Rockford Christian's Christian Cummings scored his 1,000th career point, and he is only a sophomore. In Nick 10 girls basketball, Hononegah just keeps on keeping on.
The Lady Indians made it through their first 11 conference games this season without a loss. Tonight they were in action on their home court in Rockton, and our Taylor Castro was there. She joins us now. Hi, Taylor.
Hi, guys. Hononegah's dominance over the Nick 10 actually goes back a few seasons. The last time a Hononegah girls team lost a conference game was in early March of 2021 to Guilford. Since then, the Indians have won 31 conference games in a row. Tonight, they hosted a good Harlem team. The Huskies came in with 16 wins overall and a 9-3 conference record. Hononegah was up early. They get started here with an easy bucket for Gracia Carter. Cameron Abney put on a show tonight for the Indians. She'll take it to the basket herself and get it to fall for 2. Here she goes again, just driving to the rim, and there's 2 more for Abney. But the Huskies put up a fight. Paige Stovall will find Alyssa Fulton for 3, and that cuts down the Indians' lead. It would be all Hononegah in this one, though. The loose ball is recovered by Carter, and she's wide open for 2. The streak continues on. Hononegah beat Harlem 40-22. If Hononegah can run the table in conference play this season, it'll be the 8th time since 2003 that a Hononegah team has done that. Reagan and Scott.
All right, thanks, Taylor. The Indians have a very big game coming up 2 weeks from tonight, and that one will be a big test.
Yeah, that's when they're going to host Boylan. Well, there was more Nick 10 girls action at Auburn tonight. The Lady Knights hosted Freeport. Top band getting it on here. Lexi Lacey off the dribble here. Watch this nice bounce pass. A beauty to Elizabeth Wobbles. Auburn's Olivia Brown's having a terrific season. She scores off the drive. Auburn's going to do a great job next with a high-low game. Ava Gray goes low to Elizabeth Mueller for the bucket. Freeport's Renaya Shirley has some handles. Down the lane she goes. Then KK Walker Castle fires in the corner, and that's right on the mark. At the other end, Gray working hard, gets the offensive rebound and puts the ball in the hoop. Shirley coming right back on the baseline. Somehow she finds Aaliyah Martin outside, and Martin will bank in this shot. Auburn beat Freeport 70-63.
Also in Nick 10 girls play, Belvedere took down East 72-22. Belvedere's Emma Pearson set a school record by scoring 40 points. That broke Amanda Levin's record of 38. Guilford beat Jefferson 73-60. Boylan also grabbed a win over Belvedere North 51-17.
We'll run down tonight's Nick 10 boys highlights shortly.
But up next, we'll spend a few minutes with Rockford Christian boys head coach Isaiah Johnson. His Royal Lions have been very tough to beat this season. You're watching Overtime.
The Rockford Christian boys basketball team won 21 games last season and reached the sectional finals in Class 2A. So it was natural that the Royal Lions came into this season with some lofty goals.
And they have been on target so far, posting a 20-1 record this week. They're ranked 6th in the state in Class 2A. Let's learn more about what makes this team so successful as I sit down with head coach Isaiah Johnson. Coach, what a start to the season it's been. What do you think has attributed the most to your success so far with this team?
The easy answer is they're pretty good basketball players. It also helps that they like each other. You know, I've had many teams and a lot of kids, they do like each other, but this core group of kids, they actually do a lot of things together off the court, which helps. You
know, as you move towards the end of the regular season, how do you keep this momentum going with what you already have, developed here?
You know, we just want to stay true to the things that we do. You know, we try to put a lot of pressure on people. We obviously have to shoot the ball well. Our kids can play, the whole length of the floor, and one of our models is we don't get tired. I mean, if you see us play, we're up and down, and so we try to combat teams' height with our speed and wearing them out.
And one of those fast guys, Christian Cummings, the sophomore, talk about just what you've seen from him the last 2 seasons, what you're already seeing from him this season.
Both of my 2 sophomores, Christian and Elijah, they're a calming factor. When you see a lot of teams, you got these rah-rah guys, and you got teams that get on big highs and big lows. We don't. I mean, these guys play steady. You talk about last week, we got down 10 to a very good Peck team. Nothing changed for them. I mean, they didn't come over with their heads down. They just play the same the whole way. And so it helps our team when our 2 young guys are pretty calm, they're confident, and they don't let things rattle them. They just go out and play.
And I want to ask you specifically about Lutheran. This seems to be a team that you guys come into contact with, and they always seem to just be that one that maybe stops you a little bit in your tracks. Last year in sectionals, what can you do, and what do you want your guys to do this season once you face them for the first time?
I want us to play better defense, without a doubt. And then to follow up on that, and we kind of talked about that, we have to finish off our defensive possessions, rebounding the basketball. So we have to finish the job and make sure we play solid defense and then rebound the basketball. I talk to our guys, we're going to miss shots. Everybody misses shots. But there's no excuse to have a bad night on the defensive end and rebounding.
And you're ending your regular season, with a full slate of conference games. I know they're not all counting, towards the conference record, but maybe some pros and cons of that and how that can also play into tournament time, you know, finishing your regular season like that.
One of the things we talk about as a season, it's nice to have a winning record, but this time of year we're telling them everything we're doing now is to prepare for the end of the season, to make sure we're playing our best basketball at the end of the season. So a lot of the things we do now, yes, we want to win every single game we play, but we also want to make sure we're prepared for late February, early March.
What are some of those other things you say to keep these guys mentally focused?
You know, a lot of people talk about what our record is, and never once have I heard our kids talk about our record, talk about the state rankings. Now, here's what I tell them too, and I brought it up because I know it's out there. And I basically tell them that's a nice honor to have that, to be ranked. But I tell them that doesn't mean anything to us until March. All right, so it's a nice honor. I'm glad that people are talking about it, but we try to keep our focus on getting ready and getting better for the end of the season.
I have to bring a friend out here. How about you hold him? He's your Team Yoda, right? Can you tell us about him and what he means to, you know, the Royal Lions and Rockford Christian basketball?
Well, Yoda is our team mascot, and Yoda was the truth. If there was anything we needed to do, or our practice schedule was in a book, and now it kind of morphed into not only having a practice book, but actually having a real mascot that comes to all of our practices as an assistant coach, and he sits on our bench in the games.
Now, Scott, it is clear that Yoda's force is with the Royal Lions.
Yeah, he's their good luck charm, and when you have that type of talent and you've got Yoda on your bench, how can you lose, right? All right, we're back to the highlights next with Nick 10 boys action.
Could the East E-Rabs keep on rolling? And Boylan was looking to protect its home court against Belvedere North. You're watching Overtime.
On December 9th, the East E-Rabs were 1-3 in Nick 10 play, and they were looking up at a lot of teams in the standings.
Since then, they haven't lost a conference game, and the distance between them and first place at the start of tonight was only half a game. The E-Rabs were home facing Belvedere, and the Bucks jumped right out of the gate shooting well, and that's Colton Baird there dropping in a three. E-Rabs defense looked better, though, as Antonio Lewis knocks it away from Kyle Jensen and is off to the races as he slams it home for two. Belvedere continuing to sink the threes, though, as Baird gets another one for his Bucks. East always able to respond, though. Amajan Curtis Morris down the lane for another bucket. Bucks, though, back to their bread and butter, the three ball, as Jace Diskin gets one to fall. But East would take over pretty much after that. TJ Samuels gets an E-Rab three right there. And Curtis Morris puts down another lay-in after another Bucks turnover. And how about one more steal for East as Carl Harris takes it and has a give and go with Curtis Morris, who lays it up for Harris. He tips it home. East beat Belvedere 75-53.
Let's go to Boylan, where the Titans hosted Belvedere North. The drummers, as always, sounding good at Boylan. Brighton Brown here pulling up, sinking the shot for the Blue Thunder. Mark Harris goes into attack mode for Boylan. He's going to pull up, and he will sink the jump shot. How about Joseph Brown on this drive? What a shot by Joseph that goes down. Harris again, taking off with a basket. And again, he scores. That was in the second quarter. We go to the third quarter now. The Blue Thunder was rolling. Nate Binkley driving the lane. The one-hander drops. Binkley again driving and again scoring. And Binkley is not done. Here he comes one more time, stopping, spinning, and oh yeah, that goes. Then Logan Kohler going to get a putback in one as North went up by 6. But then the Titans picked up their defensive intensity big time. First, Jamar Johnson going to get the block shot. Daryl Johnson applies pressure in the backcourt. DJ gets the steal and the finish. And the offense heated up. Aiden Hocking makes the runner. And Aiden Campos gets a bucket there. The Titans came back. They won the game 63-54.
Now, what flipped that switch there for you guys, especially on defense?
I think our halftime speech really hit us because we knew we were a better defensive team than that. We just had to get our stops. And that's stop after stop just gives us more energy.
What got you guys back in this game?
Really just our defensive energy. You know, we came out second half, you know, we put it on them, and then it was wraps from there.
What's it going to be like the next few weeks in this conference race, do you think? What's it going to take to stay in the hunt for the championship?
You know, just going 1-0 every day, you know, at practice and games, you know, talking just keeping up, and then our goal is to get a conference championship.
All right, and Guilford took its conference-leading 8-2 record to Jefferson. Jaden Webster starts off with a pretty 3 there for the Vikings. Later on, Jayhawks' LaShawn Gathright trying to get his team back in the game, but he's denied. Makai Doby finds Webster, this time inside for a bucket for Guilford. Jefferson back the other way. Gathright to Randy Johnson, and he fights his way in for 2. Fast break now for the Vikings. Malachi Johnson finds Webster once again down low. And Josiah Williams trying to make something happen, loses his footing, loses the ball too, and it makes its way to Johnson, who slams it home. Jayhawks did find their scoring touch late in the first half as Randy Johnson knocks down a 3, and then Josiah Williams able to do the same there, but Guilford beat Jefferson 69-60.
To the Pretzel City we go. Auburn against Freeport. First period off the steal by Freeport's Khalil Sims. Sims crosses the defender, drives, and 1. Amir Danforth of Auburn stretching, powers to the hoop, and the floater drops nicely. Elijah Richmond taking it inside and burying it home for the Pretzels. Second quarter now. Adrian Agee fires the 3-ball over the D. Nothing but nylon there. Sims of Freeport. Watch him drive over the paint, flip to Richmond, who banks it in for the easy basket. Tonight's Rakeem Chaney, pump fakes again over the Pretzels for the teardrop. Diedrich Macon finds Elijah Richmond, and Richmond delivers a salty dunk for the Pretzels. Auburn defeats the Pretzels on the road, 78-52.
The last Nick 10 game had Hononegah playing at Harlem. DeAndre Young finds Bo Beeler there for 3, and the ball makes its way back into Beeler's hands for another 3 points. Dane Bailing looks like he's going for it here, but Boris Jancic will make the layup. That one fired up the Huskies student section. The Indians had some 3s of their own as Landon Claudy will splash this one. And it'll be Isaiah Huey, too, to join in on the 3-point contest fun. Harlem beat Hononegah 62-53.
So here's the updated Nick 10 standings in this red-hot race. Guilford with a 9-2 record has a slim lead over Auburn and Boylan. They're both 8-2. East right behind at 8-3. Harlem next at 5-5.
Now, Scott, 35 could soon become a very important number in high school basketball.
Yeah, as in a 35-second shot clock. It could be coming here to Illinois. It already is on a trial basis. We'll dig into that in our Spotlight segment when we come back from the break. Basketball is always evolving. The three-point shot has made a huge impact on the game, and the next big change at the high school level could be the addition of a shot clock. For the first time this season, the IHSA has allowed schools to use shot clocks on an experimental basis during holiday tournaments and shootout events. DeKalb was one local school that used it during the holidays at its Chuck Dayton Holiday Classic. We're used to seeing shot clocks suspended above backboards at college and NBA games. This is a new look at the high school level. DeKalb purchased these shot clocks 3 or 4 years ago with the knowledge that shot clocks would eventually find their way into the IHSA. But this was the first time these clocks were used.
Mike and I looked at it right when they said something about it, the IHSA. We both looked at each other and go, we've got to try this.
At the high school level, the shot clock is 35 seconds. Guilford was one of the teams that played in the DeKalb tournament with the clock.
It did have a little impact as far as holding the basketball. Some of the sets, because usually, teams can hold the ball a little longer to get into their sets, where they were rushed a little bit to get into them because they're not used to it. But I think it brought an exciting play to the game to where the kids weren't kind of sitting back because they knew the shot clock was in there and they were playing a little faster.
In this game between Guilford and Chicago Marshall, both teams generally took shots long before the shot clock approached 0. Most of the time, they took shots before the clock even reached 10 seconds. But just the presence of the clocks made the players play a little faster.
We had a couple of rush shots because we thought some time was going off faster than what it was.
Did you guys play any differently today because of the shot clock?
Yeah, really. We played faster, I have to say. We had to speed up our offense.
The clock certainly came into play in the final 2 minutes when Marshall was nursing a small lead. Normally, a team in that situation would play keep away, milking the clock, waiting to be fouled. But in this instance, Marshall was forced to shoot the ball, which gave Guilford more opportunities to come back and win the game, which the Vikings did 49-48. Whether or not shot clocks become a regular part of IHSA games will probably come down to money. A mounted high school shot clock can run anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000.
It just depends on how it's going to be funded and just to staff it. You know, I'm paying someone $35 to run it.
Yes, an additional person is needed to run the shot clock. There's no way a normal scoreboard operator can do that while also fulfilling his other duties.
There's one sitting here, and the regular shot scoreboard person is sitting to the right. They're in charge of the time and the score, and you know how many fouls there are. So you need two people. One person, there's no way it could happen.
If the money issue can be resolved, shot clocks will probably come into full play in the IHSA. High school players are all for it, primarily because they want to do everything that the college players are doing.
They watch TV, they watch college sports, watch the NBA.
It's getting ready for the next level.
So if the decision were up to you, would you say, yeah, let's go with this thing permanently or not?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's way better. It's just more it makes it more fun and competitive.
If the IHSA called you up and said, okay, Chris, do you want this or don't you want it? What would you tell them?
I'd tell them I'm right there. Let's do it. Let's do it.
We always talk that we're preparing kids for their futures. And like I said before, if they're going to play basketball, they have to get used to a shot clock. To speed up the game of the high school and to get ready, I think it would be a great thing for all of our schools in the state of Illinois to do it.
Well, the IHSA is gathering feedback from coaches and athletic directors that have used the shot clock in these tournaments to see how it worked out.
But like you said, the money is probably the biggest hurdle right now that has to be dealt with. All right, we'll be right back.
Have a great weekend, everybody.